Hey guys, Travis Gillespie here. Today we're looking at integers, and all an integer is, well, it's any whole number along the number line, and that includes its opposite value. Another way of thinking about it, let's just get a number line drawn up on the screen here. And let's put some arrows on this number line. And smack dab in the middle, I'm going to put the value 0. So we have the number 0, that's our first whole number that I'm going to put down. To the right of this number 0, well, we have other values, so I'm just going to put some down. I have the number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's go up to 10, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. In fact, I want to fix that 9, so I'm just going to backtrack some. So 9 followed by the value 10. So what's going to go over here to the left of 0? Well, remember I said an integer, well, it's any whole number including its opposite value. So let's look at number 1 here, this value 1, and we can see that 1 is 1 unit away from 0, and it's moving to the right away from 0, so it's moving to the right away from 0. So its opposite value should be moving in the opposite direction. So if I were starting at 0, well, I'd be moving in the opposite direction, so I must be moving to the left, but I'm only going to move 1 unit to the left. So my new number here, the opposite value of 1, I'm going to put that number 1 again, but I'm going to have to put something next to it to indicate that this is not the same value as 1 over here. In the symbol that we use, it's a negative symbol, so I'm going to put, it looks like a minus sign, so this stands for negative 1 here. Alright, so let's move along from here. What's going to be the next value that I lay down on the number line for this tick mark right here? So I started at 0, moving to the right. I moved 1 unit to the right, I'm at 1. If I move 2 units to the right, I'm at 2. So what if we move in the opposite direction away from 0, 2 units? So I'm going to move to the left this time. I'm going to move 1 space, 2 spaces, so I'm going to put a 2 down. And now what symbol is going to go here next to the 2? I've got to put that minus sign. It looks like a minus sign. We really call these symbols that look like minus signs negative signs here. So this value here for this 1 we call negative 1. This next value we call negative 2. So this gets us into the concept not only of opposites but of positive and negative numbers, and I'm going to go ahead and write that down. So to the right of 0, all of our numbers will be positive, while to the left of 0, all our numbers will be negative. So let's go ahead and write that down. Positive. And the symbol we use for positive numbers, it looks like a plus sign. And now over here, to the left of 0, we have negative numbers. And let's fix that I real quick. And the symbol that we use for negative numbers, it looks like a minus sign. One thing I want you to keep in mind, just keep in mind and notice that the positive numbers don't have that positive symbol in front of it. So if you see a value without a symbol in front of it, assume that it's a positive number. However, if you're looking at a negative number, it should always have this negative symbol in front of it. So you should always see this negative symbol for a negative number. But what about this number 0? Well, 0 is neither positive nor negative, so I'm going to change colors real quick. Just make a note here that 0, it is a neutral number. It's neither positive nor negative. And that's what helps us get that concept of opposites down. So you have positives, or their opposite, negative, or you could have negatives and their opposite, positives. So I'm going to finish filling out this number line real quick. Just need to change colors and pencils again. And now we have negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. So now there's negative 6, negative 7, negative 8. And it looks like I'm running out of room. Don't panic. So what I can do here is just grab my eraser, erase this information, and just extend my number line. Okay, so we have negative 9, and finally negative 10. Okay guys, so you can see this number line, it's not perfect. And it's okay to make mistakes, it's okay to fix information, but just keep in mind when you are creating your number lines, one of the big goals is to do your best to try to make the spacing between units the same distance. The more you practice that, the more accurate your number lines will look in the future. So let's go ahead from here and we're going to actually graph some values here. So what I'm going to do is just copy this number line and let's just bring one down below. What if we were asked to graph the number 2? What if we were actually asked not only to graph this value, but to graph its opposite? So we're going to graph numbers and their opposites. So let's actually just bring this down just a little bit and make that note. We are asked to graph numbers, an integer, and its opposite. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is graph this number. I know this number is a positive 2 because it doesn't have a symbol in front of it. Okay, so to graph numbers on the number line, you always start at 0. I'm going to change colors real quick. I'm going to move 1 and 2 units to the right. I'm just going to put a point on this number line. Let's fill that circle in there. Cool, so we're at positive 2 on the number line. Now I need to find its opposite. I'm going to change colors again, and I'm going to go back and start at 0. That's my starting point. And now I need to move in the opposite direction, 2 units to the left. And I'll move 1 and 2 units to the left on the number line and put a point down on -2. Cool, so we've just graphed this value, this integer, and its opposite value. So let's go ahead. I want to get a copy of this graph again, and we're going to do a couple more graphs here. So I'm going to get some space on the screen, put one here, and we'll put one more down below. So this time, rather than starting with a positive number, let's start with a negative number. So we're asked to graph -5, but don't forget we're going to also graph its opposite integer second. So since we're moving in the negative direction, I'm going to go back to that orange pen real quick. So I'm going to go back down to 0. We'll move 5 units to the left, moving in the negative direction. So -1, -2, -3, -4, and -5. And let's put a point down on -5. I'm going to go get that pink pen. So this time I'm going to graph the opposite value, or the opposite integer of -5. So its opposite has to be +5, has to be out here, has to be 5 units to the right in the positive direction along this number line. So let's start at 0. We're going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 units to the right. And I'll put a point down on the number line at +5. And let's look at one last one. Let's pretend that this last number, well, we'll go back to the positive numbers. Let's graph 9 and its opposite. So going back to the pink pen, I'm going to start at 0. I'll move out 9 units. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and finally 9. I'm going to put a point down on +9. That's where we'll stop. Now I need to graph its opposite value. So that happens to be -9 right here. So let's go ahead and change pen colors. I'll be moving in the left direction here, or in the negative direction along the number line this time. So I'll move -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, and -9 units to the left. So let's put a point down for -9 here. So we've graphed +9 way over here on the number line, and its opposite value is -9. Notice they are, in all of these cases, the value that's been graphed and its opposite value are the same distance away from 0, or the same amount of units to the right and the same amount of units to the left of 0. And that's what makes them opposites. It's kind of like 0 is a mirror, and both numbers are standing the same distance away from 0, staring into the mirror, looking back at one another. Cool stuff, guys. I'll see you in another video.